All right, let's talk to the Eagles head coach, a 4-2 head coach this year with the Birds. And Nick Sirianni joins us every single Tuesday at this time. He's brought to us by Bud Light. Join Ava Graham for the Eagles versus Minnesota at Doc's Irish Pub in Gilbertsville. That's on Sunday. Win tickets to the next Eagles home game and signed Eagles merchandise and the aforementioned coach of the Eagles, Nick Sirianni. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, Coach.
So, Nick, obviously it's been a tough stretch here. You guys have lost 2 in a row and now actually been outgained in all 6 games yardage-wise, and now a lot of injuries have set in. I'm curious here, how concerned are you about your football team?
Yeah, at this point, again, we're just trying to make sure that we fix everything that and get better every single day. No one's worried, no one's panicked. We're in the business of getting better to be playing our best football later in the year, and we want to fix the problems, find solutions, and get better. So I think that's on all of our minds. That's all of our mindsets. And we know it's early in the season, and we've been here before.
Nick, one thing I don't think's helping is AJ's public presentation of issues. I'm curious if you're tired of his public presentation of internal issues.
No. I think that, again, we've talked a lot about this. I've obviously been asked a lot about this. And, again, this is a guy who desperately wants to help this football team do the things that we're capable of doing. And, again, I think that you're seeing it from an outside portion, which is fine. That's where you guys are. We're in the locker room every single day. And it is everybody wants to get this thing rolling. AJ is a great player. He knows he can help us get this thing rolling. And that's how I see it, because it's business as usual in here.
What's a harder aspect of your job as head coach, managing the players' personalities and those relationships, or managing the scheme?
Obviously, everything that you're responsible. Everything that's on that field is a product of me, right? And so I take pride in that. I take responsibility in that. All those things. So, the relationship part and the connection part, to me, that's always kind of, I don't want to say come easy to me, because that's why I got into football in the first place. So I love that portion of it. And then, offensively, you just want to find ways to put guys in positions to succeed. You want the guys to go out and execute. And so that's what you think about constantly. Both things are highly, highly important. I think, it's the best teams that win, not the best groups of individuals. And if I want our team to be together, I better be doing it, and they better be close to their head coach. And then it's, again, like I said, you're constantly trying to find ways to put the guys in positions to succeed. That doesn't always look the same each week because of who you're playing on defense. And but there are some things that you want to do and that you do well that you want to repeat and dress up. So all things like this, none of this is new. This is life in football. I'm not even going to say life in the NFL. This is life in football. That the connection's important, and then the scheme's important. And so those are all things that you're always constantly thinking about, and just part of the job. And exciting part of the job is to find solutions. It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's that line from A League of Their Own? He's like, the hard's what makes it great.
Yeah.
I think Tom Hanks said that. And I fully believe that.
We are frightened that this feels familiar. And so how do we know that this 2-game slide isn't the 2023 slide?
How do you know it's not the 24 slide? Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand. I understand where you guys are at. We're doing everything we can do to fix it and to get better. I can just tell you this, I don't know if this will ease your fears, and I don't expect it to, but we're doing everything we can as coaches. It was great to have a kind of a mini bye to be able to do some things there. Yeah. And I know the players are doing everything that they can do to help themselves get better fundamentally, better as players. And everybody has that mindset that, there's a hunger mindset on this football team. And that's what you expect with the people that we have in this building, just the obsession with winning and getting better. And we have that throughout the building, coaches and players.
Saquon still hasn't rushed for 100 yards in a game. Why?
Yeah, there's always, John, it's never one thing in football, right? It's never one thing. It's always, it's the most ultimate team game. And when we win games and, we're talking about that, and we're saying, hey, this is a team game. Everybody deserves the credit here. Well, it's the same thing, when you're struggling around a 2-game losing streak too. It's like, hey, everything's on the table. And it's never just one thing.
What's the biggest impediment to running the football?
Yeah, I think that again we haven't been efficient enough on first and second, on first down, and we've been behind the sticks. So we've had some negative plays, in the run game and the pass game, not been efficient enough there, and it puts you behind the sticks a little bit. Now, why haven't we been efficient? That's never one thing either, right? It's always going to be, did we help the guys be in position to succeed as coaches, and did we execute? So there's never just a one thing, and I think you guys can respect the fact that, like, when we go through our self-scout and our mini buy this week, like, I wouldn't share anything publicly that we saw, not because I don't respect the job that you guys got to do, but because I don't want to give any information to the other team. So
Sure.
that we're playing, but. Again, it was a really, you look at things, I always look at adversities as big time opportunities to grow. And that's where we are, right? And I think, and I do believe this team has, when we don't go through adversities and it's not up to our standard, we look at that as big time opportunities to grow. There's always opportunity to grow. And like, I look back to last year. I don't want to talk about last year very often, but like, I look back to the end of 23 and the beginning of 22, and like, I'm thankful for that adversity, because it helped us grow and become the team that was able to win a Super Bowl last year. And so I think you can have those two mindsets going in. You can have a woe was me mindset where it's not going your way, or you can have a mindset where what an opportunity to get better from your adversities, and we talk about that a lot, and that's a winner's mindset, is to get better from the stuff that you're going through.
Nick Sirianni with us here on WIP. Nick, Lane obviously had said he thinks the offense is too predictable, and I'm wondering, and I totally respect your desire to not give away schematic elements, because Minnesota and other teams could be listening, but I just wonder how reasonable is it structurally to make big changes? Things like, and this might not be considered a big change by many, but Jalen under center much more often, which he has not been, too often in his career here, other than the tush push. I mean, is that something you can reach into your bag with, or do you run the offense that you run largely because it suits Jalen and his background the most and what you think he's most comfortable with?
Yeah, obviously we're not against doing anything that can help us get better. And I heard Lane's comments, and we've all talked through all that. And like, if you listen to the whole thing, he's talking about being predictable, but he's also talking about execution, and that's what we're talking about when you get into second and long or in third and long. Then you are a little bit more predictable, obviously. We've run the ball more on third down here than a lot of teams in the NFL. We haven't been in those situations quite as much this season to be able to do so. So I think you got to hear in that the big context of how he kind of talked about it, and because I know he's looking for solutions and he's looking to get better. I love that about our guys, that everyone's finger pointing, everyone's looking inward at themselves first, coaches, players, everybody. And I'm working to get better. Now, the second part of that question, I'm sorry, I missed that.
That part. Things like putting Jalen under center much more often. Not a play here and there, but a lot more often to open up a whole different wing of the playbook. Sure. Is that something that would consider.
Like I said, we're not against doing anything to help you go better. We're not a team that says this is our system and this is what we're doing no matter what. We'll try to find solutions to everything, and if that means getting under center, that means getting under center. Now, obviously, we've had a lot of success here, scored a lot of points of being in the gun and our run game being good in the gun, but that doesn't mean. Like one thing I always hate when coaches say is, well, we've always done it that way. Well, that doesn't work for me, right? You're looking for solutions, you're looking for answers, and just because we've scored a lot of points and won a lot of games with us in the gun, that doesn't mean that we won't open up or open to other avenues to help things get going. So I know I'm not answering your question directly, but. I'm telling you, we're open to anything, but we've had a lot of success doing it one way. But we got to find solutions.
Coach, I hear you point to execution. I hear Jalen point to a lack of execution as a reason for poor performance quite often. Why is the execution still lacking to this degree? And how unusual is that based on your experience? At this juncture, week 7 in the season.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I say execution, and I say us putting the guys in position to succeed. It's never just one thing. I think that every team's finding their identity and finding who they are and finding what works for them at this point of the season. I mean, you saw a bunch of teams that as we were able to watch this week, a bunch of teams that were looked at as the best teams in the NFL.
Sure.
This last weekend lose games, us included. And so I don't think that's unusual. I think that's what you're doing in September, sometimes in October, of finding your flow of where you are and what works for you. And that's what this portion of the season's about. Of course, we'd love to be 6-0 while you're finding what works for you, but we're not. We're 4-2 and an opportunity for us to grow and get better. But I think that's kind of, to answer your question, I just think that's, where the NFL is right now of, everyone's kind of finding their way. And there are teams that are, I can't speak for everything because I don't get to watch everything, but you sit back and watch, you see some teams playing really good too. What you're trying to do is continue to get better, find who you are, find what works for you so you're playing your best football. November, December, January, hopefully February.
Hey, Nick, final thing. With no Nolan Smith here for a stretch and Zadarius Smith walking out the door, have you thought about asking Brandon Graham if he wants to walk back in the door?
Obviously I love Brandon and everything that he brought. We're always constantly looking for ways to improve our football team. That's why Howie's the best in the business. He's always looking at ways, how do we get this football team better personnel-wise? I'm always looking at ways how we get this team better culture-wise and also, scheme-wise. And our coaches are doing the same. And, like I said, like everything, Howie's looking at every avenue. And I am pleased. I am excited about Jalen Hunt and his development. I'm excited that Nolan Smith, will be back, or we'll see when, but, I'm excited about that. And then I think we've had guys, with Aziz and Uchi and with Pat Johnson that have given us a lot of good reps, and Pat's given us a lot of good reps through the 5 years here. And Josh and Aziz have played good football elsewhere and had some good moments here. So I am upbeat about that room and the things that we can do and the depth that we have. And I know we've lost some guys, but I do think that that room is a strong room with good depth, and we'll see though. You're always looking to improve your football team any way that you can.
Absolutely. Hey, Nick, good luck on Sunday versus Minnesota. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
there
Coach.
he is, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Kind of interesting there at the end. Not exactly a no.
He didn't say no.
He did not say no.
Guys,
But he
it's a
didn't say
no.
yes.
No, he didn't say yes
Brandon-
either.
Come on.
He's doing that very well.
Brandon retired 9 months ago.
Who
He
cares?
has not been doing anything to be
Dude,
ready
Jeremiah
to play.
Trotter retired in 06. They signed him in 09.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
You
he
guys-
retired in 07. They
I
signed him
think
in
the
09.
difference with BG is because he retore it so quick. I think
Yeah, but it's been a while now.
I know. I'm
What
just
do you
saying.
think
also
this
don't know
is?
that he
Do
hasn't
you
stayed in
really
shape.
think
Like,
it's
we don't
that
know.
easy
Hold
to
on,
go
hold on.
back out there?
Hold on.
Very surprised.
One at a time. What, James?
I just said we don't know that he hasn't stayed in shape. Like, he might have been working out this whole time thinking this was a possibility, right? Like, he's talked about it. He said when he was on with us, what did he say? I'm 90% retired or whatever.
John, after he
It's
retired.
possible he stayed in
I just
shape.
think
Like, it is possible.
I think it's you're.
I think you're dead wrong.
I think you are belittling those who play.
Those guys
by saying
stink.
This guy
They
can
stink.
return.
They stink.
This after
Those
not
players
playing for
all
9
stink.
months.
They're not
and
very good,
just sitting
John.
on his sofa.
They got nothing.
Yeah, I don't have Clyde
It's
Simmons and Hugh
dangerous for
Douglas
Brandon Graham
and
to try to return
Reggie
to
White
play.
at defensive
Not
end
he's
right
been
now.
I mean, people do sign it. Look, I don't know that I would want. I
I
kind
can't
of want Brandon to just have his magical send off or whatever.
Do you know how
But I don't think it's
get
crazy.
out there
People do
and
this
play?
every year, John. People wait and sign late every year.
Yeah,
Like,
but guys who have been preparing to
I'm
sign
just saying we don't
after
know that
training
Brandon
camp.
hasn't. We don't know that. That's all I'm saying. Like,
We
Brandon
talked
might have
to
kept work.
him,
And he said he
and
was
he said he
90%.
wasn't.
No, he said he was
John,
90%.
after he retired, he referred to himself as 90% retired. After he retired.
Did you hear a definite no in there?
No, I did not.
No, but
Henry, I know this. If they called him yesterday or today, he would not have just told us.
Yeah.
If the Eagles called him yesterday or today, Sirianni would not have spilled that news here. I'm just saying, if I'm the Eagles, it's on the table.